There is a branch of the Department of Defense called the United States Cybercommand. It's not an old command of the Department of Defense, but it has a lot of funding, and they're looking to fortify it some more. So I wanted to get into that a little bit. I don't really know a whole lot about this, but this is the Wikipedia article on the United States Cybercommand. The U.S. Cybercommand, or USCYBERCOM, is one of the 11 unified combatant commands of the United States Department of Defense. It unifies the direction of cyberspace operations, it strengthens the DoD cyberspace capabilities, and it integrates and bolsters the Department of Defense's cyber expertise, which focuses on securing cyberspace. USCYBERCOM was established as a sub-unified command under U.S. Strategic Command at the direction of Secretary of Defense Robert Gates on June the 23rd of 2009 at the National Security Agency's headquarters in Fort George G. Meade, Maryland. It cooperates with NSA networks and has been concurrently headed by the Director of the National Security Agency since its inception. While originally created with a defensive mission in mind, it has increasingly been viewed as an offensive force. On August 18th of 2017, it was announced that USCYBERCOM would be elevated to the status of a full and independent unified combatant command. On May the 23rd of 2023, it was announced that President Biden nominated Lieutenant General Timothy Ho to the Senate to be the next U.S. Cybercom commander. So the mission statement, according to the U.S. Department of Defense, is as follows. U.S. Cybercom plans, coordinates, integrates, synchronizes, and conducts activities to direct the operations and defense of specified Department of Defense information networks and prepare to, and, when directed, conduct full-spectrum military cyberspace operations in order to enable actions in all domains, ensure U.S. allied freedom of action in cyberspace, and deny the same to our adversaries. The command is charged with pulling together existing cyberspace resources, creating synergies, and synchronizing war-fighting effects to defend the information security environment. USCYBERCOM is tasked with centralizing command of cyberspace operations, strengthening Department of Defense cyberspace capabilities, and integrating and bolstering DoD's cyber expertise. So this is the website. That's their official website. It is cybercom.mil, short for military. And they've got menu up there, and they've got some news articles here. So this is their public website and what they've been up to lately. And these are the different cyber component commands here. The U.S. Army Cyber Command, the Fleet Cyber Command, the 10th Fleet, 16th Air Force, Air Forces Cyber, Marine Corps Forces Cyberspace Command, the Cyber National Mission Force, and Joint Force Headquarters, DoD Information Network. So that's their website. So the budget with U.S. Cyber Command. The U.S. Cyber Command's annual budget has seen significant increases in recent years. For fiscal year 2024, the Department of Defense's budget allocated $13.5 billion for cyberspace activities, which includes $3 billion specifically for U.S. Cyber Command. This represents a 15.4% increase over the fiscal year 2023 level. Of the total proposed fiscal year 2024 budget, $7.4 billion is marked for cyberspace operations, with $3 billion of that allocated for U.S. Cyber Command. In fiscal year 2024, Cyber Command released its first full budget request, which includes $332.6 million for operations and maintenance, $129 million for procurement, and $1.1 billion for research, development, test, and evaluation. The budget also funds the addition of 5 cyber mission force teams, bringing the total to 147 teams. The budget increase reflects the growing recognition of cyber threats from adversaries like China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and transnational criminals. Cyber Command's enhanced budgetary control allows it to more directly allocate resources and ensure they align with priorities. For fiscal year 2025, the budget details are not fully provided in the available context, but the trend indicates continued investment in cyber capabilities and operations. And I did come across this article recently. This is on defense.gov, the U.S. Department of Defense. This was published a little bit ago. It was back on May 16th, but I thought it was important enough to make a video about. So I'll just dive right into it. The Defense Department leaders delivered a stark warning about adversaries exploiting cyberspace and threatening national security during a House Armed Services Committee Cyber Information Technologies and Innovation Subcommittee hearing in Washington today. Lori Buckhout, performing the duties of Assistant Secretary of Defense for Cyber Policy, and Army Lieutenant General William Hartman, Acting Commander of U.S. Cybercommand, called for heightened strategic focus, cutting-edge innovation, and a world-class workforce to counter sophisticated cyber threats. Quote, adversaries transform cyberspace, a domain powering global connectivity, communications, and innovation, into a contested battle space, end quote, Buckhout said. With over 40 years of experience in communications, intelligence, and cyber operations, Buckhout spotlighted the alarming rise of Chinese state-sponsored actors like Volt Typhoon. She said the group infiltrates critical infrastructure, including power grids, water systems, and telecommunications networks, using stealthy, quote, live off the land, end quote, tactics that exploit legitimate tools to evade detection. And of course, they're talking about infrastructure inside the United States, inside our country. Quote, Volt Typhoon's actions expose the urgent need for relentless vigilance and advanced countermeasures, she said, citing its potential to disrupt essential services or enable espionage. Her warning aligns with a 2024 Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency adversary, which revealed Volt Typhoon's deep penetration of infrastructure sectors, posing a significant risk to national security. Buckhout also flagged Russia's integration of cyber operations with geopolitical aims, as well as Iran's persistent malicious activities and North Korea's ransomware campaigns. She noted that transnational criminal organizations further increase the threat, targeting infrastructure with profit-driven cyber attacks. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's vision for cyber dominance underpins Buckhout's call to action. Quote, we're pushing real-time inclusion of cyber, offensive and defensive, into planning cycles to leverage it fully, he said during an address at the U.S. Naval Academy in April. Quote, in a world where cyber and space dominance will determine future battlefields, if we do it right, it should be our comparative advantage, end quote. His directive drives the department's push to align resources with the most lethal and effective capabilities, prioritizing homeland defense against near-peer competitors like China. Which China, it's really only considered to be at a peer-to-peer level because China is stealing all of our intellectual property. They're infiltrating our systems. They're stealing our technology because China is a communist country, and communism it's not a society where things can be advanced. Technology can't be innovated in a place like China because there's not really much incentive to do so. So anyway, Cybercom's daily battle. Hartman painted a vivid picture of Cybercom's relentless engagement. Quote, we fight cyber warfare every day, defending the nation, securing DoD networks, and empowering the joint force, end quote. In 2024, Cybercom executed over 6,000 operations, a 25% surge from 2023, targeting malicious actors worldwide. Quote, our operations grow in scale, speed, and complexity, end quote, he told lawmakers, projecting even greater activity this year. Hartman highlighted the command's collaboration with the National Security Agency to optimize resources and technical expertise. He cited a congressionally mandated artificial intelligence roadmap, which fuels pilot programs to enhance operational efficiency. Quote, AI transforms how we analyze threats and deploy capabilities, end quote, Hartman said, aligning with President Donald J. Trump's emphasis on AI as a cornerstone of cybersecurity superiority. Refining Cybercom 2.0. Buckhout addressed the ongoing evolution of Cybercom 2.0 an initiative inherited from the prior administration to streamline workforce management, training, and innovation. We value Cybercomm 2.0's foundation, but recognize its shortcomings, she said. The current administration is conducting a comprehensive review to align the program with evolving threats. Quote, we view cyberspace as mission critical, and we are committed to delivering a refined strategy, end quote, Buckout told the committee. After lawmakers pressed for clarity on Cybercomm 2.0's future structure, Hartman revealed that Cybercomm favors a model similar to U.S. Special Operations Command, where a unified command oversees training and force development while geographic combatant commanders retain operational control. This model balances efficiency with flexibility, Hartman explained. Workforce challenges in a competitive landscape. Hartman said building a world-class cyber workforce remains a top priority, but intense competition with the private sector complicates recruitment and retention. He added that strong retention in specialized roles, which is interactive on-net operators, exploitation analysts, and coders, is driven by the unique allure of national security missions. We offer opportunities no tech company can match, he said. However, Cybercomm is struggling to attract broader talent such as linguists, intelligence analysts, and planners essential for comprehensive cyber operations. Hartman said the current hiring freeze and workforce reductions threaten to increase these challenges, noting that 5 to 8% of the command's workforce accepted voluntary separation offers. I mean, it's still a fairly low number. I mean, it's not like half of them left. Quote, our junior leaders will step up, but the loss is significant, he said. Mental health support for cyber operations facing chronic stressors emerged as a concern during the hearing. Lawmakers cited a congressional report targeting inadequate mental health resources for cyber personnel. Hartman explained that Cybercomm hired its first psychologist in 2025 and is actively seeking additional specialists to combat the issue. So that's the article in full. Not sure about the details with this whole psychological thing, mental health support. I mean, I'm sure if you're working in Cybercommand, I'm sure you're probably spending hours and hours and hours in front of computer screens. And I'm sure that probably takes somewhat of a psychological toll on you. But a lot of these people, man, this is what they love to do. I mean, it's kind of like probably like air traffic control. It's a very stressful environment. It's very taxing, which is why they make so much money. So maybe that's why they're talking about the need for mental health support, probably because it's a very mentally taxing department to work in. So anyway, that's about all I got. That's what I wanted to cover since this was in the news recently. I mean, they're looking for recruits. They're looking to hire individuals in the private sector, even though the federal government's got this hiring freeze going on. So, I mean, look, it's not a perfect situation. You know, we want, at least I do, I would like the government to shrink significantly. I don't want it to grow. I want it to get smaller. But it's a real conundrum, man, because there are other countries out there, such as the ones that are named in this article, that are constantly trying to attack us with, cyber attacks. And it's only getting more and more sophisticated. So I understand, we got to stay ahead of it. And it's not exactly something that the individual states can have an easy time doing. I mean, it would be probably a logistical nightmare if we had all 50 states having their own cyber defenses. I mean, independent of each other. You know, I imagine like Florida Cyber Command, California Cyber Command, Indiana Cyber Command. I mean, all of the states having their own, it would be really difficult for them to work independently, in my opinion. Especially when a lot of these cyber threats, they're not just attacking the government's infrastructure, they're also attacking the private sector. Companies like Target, Walmart, whoever, just insert company name here. And these companies, they operate nationwide. They operate in all 50 states. So that is a conundrum. But I mean, I do see the uphill battle that they have. They're looking for new recruits. They're looking for young talent, and they're having difficulty doing so because, the areas of big tech that are not engaging in mass layoffs, they're probably trying to hire people who are AI geniuses or people who are very innovative. And, the federal government also needs those types of brilliant thinkers. And apparently they're having a difficult time trying to get them recruited. So hopefully they'll figure that out. I mean, they certainly have enough money. So I'm not saying that they should be paying these guys like $1 million a year or anything like that. But anyway, that's about all I got. So until later, see ya.